711 AD, the Moors invaded Spain under General Tariq. The Rock of Gibraltar stands as an altar to this glorious day, when the Spanish population learned the ancient Moorish ways. Hebrews and Muslims living under nature's law. I self-Lord and master, the order of Islam.
Moors have a connection with Sicily. They were there, they were gone, then they had, relations again, changed the complexion of Sicily. That's why you got, like, the southern Italians and definitely the Sicilians are a lot darker because of the Moorish influence genetically.
You're Sicilian, huh?
Sicilian.
I read a lot, especially about things, about history. I find that shit fascinating. Here's a fact, I don't know whether you know or not. Sicilians were spawned by niggers.
Come again?
No, it's a fact. Yeah. You see, Sicilians have black blood pumping through their hearts. And no, if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you see, the Moors conquered Sicily, and the Moors are niggers. So you see, way back then, Sicilians were like wops from northern Italy. They all had blonde hair and blue eyes. But, well, then the Moors moved in there and, well, they changed the whole country. They did so much fucking with Sicilian women, huh, that they changed the whole bloodline forever. That's why blonde hair and blue eyes became black hair and dark skin. It's absolutely amazing to me to think that to this day, hundreds of years later, that Sicilians still carry that nigger gene. Now this, I'm quoting history. It's written. It's a fact. It's written.
I know this guy.
No. Your ancestors are niggers.
And when I was looking at this parallel history, I said, well, let me look up in an encyclopedia the word mafia. It said the word mafia comes from a North African word called Mahfil, which means to unify. And the next entry I found, and it stuck in my head, Mahfil, North African. And I said, you talking about North Africa, you talking about the Moors. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, let me research this again. So I looked up Mafia, and the next entry that I found this time online said it's from, again, a North African Arabic, quote-unquote, word, mahil, which means to boast or to brag. Now, that didn't make sense to me because I said, well, when you're in the mafia, you don't boast or brag. I know a lot of mafiosos want to walk around all tough, but you don't. That's the movies, that's TV shows. Real life, you don't really want to do that. They practice something known as omerta, which is the code of silence. So you don't want to boast or brag. So that didn't make sense to me. But again, here they were marking the word mafia with something that comes from North Africa that became Romanized. So that's when I started studying North Africa at the time, talking about the pirate companies and their influence on Sicily. And I just found out that these small little cities, Tunis in Tunisia, places in Libya, Salih, Algiers in Algeria, these particular city ports were known as Corsair states, and the politics that governed them were done through quote-unquote pirates. In a book called Moorish Corsairs and European Renegados by Peter Lamborn Wilson, he speaks about the fact that these people were called pirates only in the eyes of Europeans, but they were the most civil people you could ever meet. They had codes of honor that they stuck by. And most of the times when they captured people, because there were raids on coastal cities in Europe, most of the people that they captured, they cleaned, and it was the first time that these people ever had a bath. They civilized, taught them mathematics, and some people wanted to stay, and some people just, they left. They were allowed to leave. And they said they were very diplomatic and that they were organized within the aspects of Beylerbeys, which were like the bosses, the boss of boss, the chief of chiefs, which is what it translates into. And then the Beys of the Deys, which are sort of the underbosses. Then the Reises, which were the captains. The soldiers, which were the captain's crews. And then you had the enforcers, which were the other Corsairs of the sea. And then you had the associates, which were the trade partners. And I said, well, this fits perfectly over the sort of family tree of the Mafia, of how it is organized. Now, they always talk about, which is propagated by Godfather 2, that it goes back to how the Romans ruled. But the Romans were very much a republic and a senate state. And even though there was the emperor on top, the generals really didn't have a say. It then came down to the Senate. How they get that confused or how that myth is propagated is because in the 1930s or 40s, you had the Mafia in America who were running the bootlegging system, and they were also running the number system, quiet as it's kept, alongside blacks. And now there is also a big relationship between blacks and, black mobs and mafias, especially in the number running age. There's a book called Kings. It goes into how we created the number running system and how we governed it, and of course how the mob was used by the United States to not only usurp it from us, but ultimately how it became the lottery system of today.